Welcome to Plymouth Notch for everyone visiting today. Thank you for joining us for this historic reenactment. I'm Matt Denhart, president of the Coolidge Foundation. And to those of you who are wondering who all the students are, these are students from across the country who have applied to our foundation's Coolidge Scholarship, and these out of 4,910 who applied this year from every state in the country. These are the top 100 who we call the Coolidge Senators. So we're glad they're here with us, and they will be playing many of the roles. Now, please join me in welcoming our manager of the Coolidge Senators program, my colleague Jacob McNeil, who will be the narrator of today's reenactment. Jacob.
Just inside the Coolidge homestead, the quiet transition in our country's leadership took place on the night of August 2nd to 3rd, 1923. What happened and who was there? Let's meet the cast of characters. Vice President Calvin Coolidge and his wife, Grace Goodhue Coolidge, have been visiting Coolidge's father, John Coolidge, since July 8th, and were planning to leave the next day to visit friends in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Those also present the evening of August 2nd into the early hours of August 3rd included U.S. Representative Porter Dale, Erwin C. Geiser, Coolidge's stenographer, Joseph Fountain, 22-year-old editor of the Springfield Reporter, also a representative of the Associated Press, Joseph McInerney, Coolidge's chauffeur, and Winfred Perkins, who brought the news of President Harding's death to Plymouth Notch. Here's the story. President Warren G. Harding had been traveling, took sick, and died around 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on August 2nd at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco. President Harding's secretary, George B. Christian, sent a telegram with the news to the White River Western Union office in Woodstock, Vermont. At 11:30 p.m., Nellie Perkins, who was operating the telephone switchboard in her home in Bridgewater, received a phone call with the news that President Harding had died. Miss Perkins wrote down the telegram message and immediately awoke her husband. Winfred Perkins dressed immediately and drove with the message to Plymouth Notch, about 9 miles away. Around midnight, Mr. Perkins arrived at the Coolidge home. Mr. Perkins knocked loudly on the door, woke up John Coolidge, and gave him the news.
What's going on? What in tarnation? Oh. Thank you, Mr. Perkins.
You're welcome, sir.
Calvin!
Calvin Coolidge later wrote in his autobiography, "I was awakened by my father coming up the stairs, calling my name. I noticed that his voice trembled. As the only times I had ever observed that before were when death had visited our family. I knew that something of the gravest nature had occurred. He must have been moved also by the thought of the many sacrifices he had made to place me where I was, in the hope I might sometime rise to a position of importance, which he now saw realized. He placed in my hands an official report that President Harding had just passed away. My wife and I
at once dressed. Before leaving the room, I knelt down and asked God to bless the American people and give me power to serve them.
Erwin C. Geiser, Coolidge's stenographer, and Joseph McInerney, Coolidge's chauffeur, were staying in Bridgewater at Furman's boarding house. They heard the news and drove to Plymouth in the Vice President's Pierce Arrow, arriving just after Winfred Perkins. Coolidge prepared the text of a telegram to be sent to Mrs. Harding. The telegram read, "We offer you our deepest sympathy. May God bless and keep you." Reporters arrived in Plymouth Notch. Coolidge dictated a statement to the American people typed by Geiser.
Reports have reached me, which I fear are correct, that President Harding is gone. The world has lost a good and great man. I mourn his loss. He was my chief and friend. It will be my purpose to carry out the policies which he has begun for the service of the American people and for meeting their responsibilities wherever they may arise. For this purpose, I shall seek the cooperation of all those who have been associated with the President during his term of office. Those who have given their efforts to assist him, I wish to remain in office that they may assist me. I have faith that God will direct the destinies of our nation. It is my intention to remain here until I can obtain the correct form for the oath of office, which will be administered to me by my father, who is a notary public, if that will meet the necessary requirement. I expect to leave for Washington during the day.
The president's statement was handed out to reporters on the scene. The reporters rushed away to Ludlow and other neighboring towns to file their stories. But young Joe Fountain, representing the Springfield Reporter in the Associated Press, arrived a bit later and decided he would remain in Plymouth to see what might happen next. Mr. Fountain was joined by U.S. Congressman Porter Dale. Congressman Dale was campaigning for the U.S. Senate. Upon arriving, he urged Coolidge to take the oath of office right away, noting,
"The United States, Mr. Coolidge, is without a president."
Calvin Coolidge walked over to the general store and placed a call on the store phone to consult Attorney General Harry M. Daugherty on procedures for taking the oath of office. During his visit to the general store, it is said that Mr. Coolidge enjoyed a drink of Moxie.
Here you are, sir.
Meanwhile, Colonel John Coolidge had located the words of the oath of office in the United States Constitution, a copy of which was kept in the family home. Mr. Geiser typed out the oath on 3 strips of paper that were later signed by those present.
Well, Calvin, are you ready to take the oath of office?
Yes, Father.
Or raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Calvin Coolidge,
I, Calvin Coolidge,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
Colonel John affixed his notary seal on each copy. At 2:47 a.m., Calvin Coolidge became the 30th President of the United States, the only president to be sworn in by his father. After taking the oath, the President and First Lady went back to bed. The next morning, Calvin and Grace arose at 6:45 a.m. Calvin visited his mother's grave in the Notch Cemetery, and the first couple departed for Washington at 7:30 a.m. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now let's meet the cast. Calvin Coolidge, McKinley Kiefer. As Grace Coolidge, Carolyn Sanders. As Colonel John Coolidge, Governor J.M. Douglas. As Porter Dale, Ian Nicholson. As Erwin Geister, Constantino Penna. As Joseph Fountain, Alexander Bowe. As Joseph McInerney, Tom Pogorelic. As Winfred Perkins, McDonough Kuntz. As Moxie Delivery, Sophia O'Brien. And as reporters, John Hancock, Ben Jensen, Sanjay Bohill, Kira Don, Ethan Kirian, and Sastra Boha.
And as narrator, Jacob McNeil.
Thank you for joining us at the celebration. Enjoy your afternoon in Plymouth Notch. And if you make your way over to your right, we'll have Moxie floats for everyone.